So, hello everyone. We've got Barry and Trent in the chat. If anyone's new here, this is Guitar Builders Collective Chat. We meet every week. At the moment, it's a sort of rotation of different builders. At the moment, we've got Dave and myself in the UK and Mark here in the US. But it changes each week. We had Scott in the US last week, and sometimes we get some people over from Australia. That's why we do it at this time, 10 p.m. my time in the UK. I think over in Austin, is it 4 p.m?
It is 4 p.m.
Yeah, there we go. And when we do it in Australia, the guys that join us, it's 7 a.m. their time. So it's the best way we can get it kind of to fit for all of us. And if you're new here, we've got an archive that you can link to in the description below, which has got all our past episodes. And by past episodes, I don't mean just the live stream like this, where we do have a focus each week, but it tends to be what's on our minds and what we're thinking about. The archive also includes long form interviews that we've done with guitar builders, pickup builders, amp builders, guitar players, guitar teachers, just anyone we could meet that was interesting, that wanted to tell us their story and talk to them about guitars. We've got Todd in the chat as well. Todd from Sweet Tea Guitars, I'm sure a lot of you know. Also from Bench Critters. I recently got a set of their gecko blocks. I'll grab them in a minute because I've screwed them on the wall because they come with a little holder. But I've been using them a lot this week. They're like upgraded bench cookies. I know Mark's used them, and Dave probably hasn't because I've only just.
I've been watching you using them.
Yeah, they've only just become available in the UK.
Right. Okay. No, they look really good. I'm
enjoying them a lot. They're Well, I mean, so basically, I never used bench cookies ever for any of my stuff. I always thought I couldn't see the point of them, and then on the second or third of the Guitar Builder Collective chats that we did 3 or 4 years ago, we had Chris from Franklin Guitars on, and we're talking about basic tools to use, and he swore by them. And one of the things he said about them is you just put your guitar body on the workshop on 4 bench cookies, and you get your router and nothing moves. And I thought that's going to be so useful because I always clamp my body down, and it's really awkward because the clamp gets in the way of the router.
Yeah.
So I couldn't believe these little plastic things with rubber on top would make that much difference. And I bought them. Yeah, fantastic. So I've been using them for years for everything. I've got 8 of them around the workshop. Now I've got 6 more in the Bench Critter style, which are definitely better than the ones I had before.
No, they look really cool, and they really do grip it tight, do they? I mean, did I see you washing them in water or something to make them stickier?
Yeah, let me. Why don't I just grab some?
Yeah,
grab them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I washed them partly because the advice, as you open the box, there's a little handwritten looking thing in it that says, wash me before you use me to improve my grippiness. So I washed them, but also I've been using them while I've been sanding. So this one, for example, don't know how well that shows up, is covered in red bits of sand from where I just stained a guitar body and I've been sanding it back. But yeah, essentially you lie them down like you might do a normal bench cookie, or you can stand them up with points up or at angles. I mean, there's so many uses for them, and on their website, sorry, it's becoming an advert. On their website, they demonstrate how they use it a lot. Mark made a video demonstrating how they use it. Dave, I've just been asked to turn you up, but you're as loud as I can go from this end.
Is that better? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Alan's in the chat, says he's got some as well and is enjoying using them.
Excellent. Okay, well, I'll have to get some. I haven't been in the workshop for quite a while, unfortunately. So,
Christmas present.
Yeah.
So hey, look, before we came on air earlier on, Dave sent us an email and said he's just been thinking about something because he'd read about it, and that might be our topic today, all about basically pickups. Dave, do you want to tell us what you mentioned?
Yeah. What it was, I get an email from Jerry at Hayes Guitars. I don't know if you guys do as well, and he sends out emails on loads of sort of different topics. But he was saying his latest one that I got was sort of a bit of a rant, and it was entitled "Have you tried being more happy?" And this was based on an email that somebody had sent to him, and I'll read it to you. Actually, this guy said, I have a nice guitar. He sort of missed out what the guitars were. I have a nice guitar with stock pickups. It works well, and I like the sound of it as is. But I've read through threads online about these new pickups that they would be much better than the stock pickups. However, I'm happily enough with what I have, so I don't know what to do. And he goes on to say the number of people that contact him who have then taken out the stock pickups and put in new pickups and been disappointed or got into a bit of a mess doing it. And I just wondered how many of you guitar builders have come across this, where people just want to get the latest nice shiny new pickups, and really actually the pickups they've got is they're probably good enough.
Mm.
You know.
Well, not necessarily exactly that, but when I've built guitars for people before, I've often had people say, I want this pickup, this brand of pickup, because I've heard they're really good. And it's not necessarily because they played them or used them, they've just heard they're good. And it's this kind of word of mouth that makes them know that these are the ones they want to buy. So there's the in thing to get, and for a while everyone seemed to want to get what are they called?
Bare knuckle?
Bare knuckle, yeah, of course they're bare knuckle.
I'm reading your mind. Go on.
Well, there was one guy that particularly wanted some bare knuckles, and I just ordered some for another client, so it was fine. But I coincidentally met some other builders who said we've stopped using bare knuckle because we're trying to use some more smaller builders. Now, bare knuckle for me are great because they're UK based, so I like the idea of buying something that doesn't travel halfway around the world to be put in a guitar, especially if I'm then going to ship the guitar back halfway around the world. I want to sort of do as less shipping as possible. But there's a few other local builders, and so someone recommended Alchemy pickups to me. And what I found with a small builder is I was able to talk to the client and talk to the pickup builder and find something that matched what the client was describing was the type of music they wanted, etc. Now, there's no reason that I couldn't have found that on Bare Knuckle or on some other websites when people are describing specifically what they're built for. But this guy wound them specifically for my client. So it felt like the client was getting a really personalized thing. Does that mean it's better than another one? I'm not sure, but it made him feel really satisfied with what he was getting.
Mm. But it sounds like he sort of knew what he wanted, and he got a certain style of music that he was going to play, and that those pickups were aligned with that, rather than just saying, well, okay, yeah, these are allegedly better than the ones I've got.
I think what I was trying to get at there was by having a conversation with him, especially coming from the person that built it, we could work out what it was he wanted and was after, or what he thought he was after.
In all those cases, though, it feels like the player needs to have some amount of experience with different types of pickups before they can make any kind of like judgment on them. So they by saying they know what they want, surely that means they've had a wide experience with a lot of different types of magnets, wines, etc. Is that usually the case? And I'm asking because I've never built a guitar for a client.
No, well, I'm not. I can't really speak on that either.
So basically what the questions were, and actually, do you know what? Miss Glyn from Mr. Glyn's Pickups is a good example. He makes pickups where he describes the sort of music you should play on them. So he's got a set that's designed for doom music and a set that's designed for more extreme metal. And so when someone knows the sort of music they want and the sort of sound that goes with that sort of band, that sort of music, that sort of genre, then I guess what's happening with those pickups is they're built so the frequencies that they're sending from your guitar to your amp match the sort of sounds you'd expect to hear with that kind of thing. Whereas sometimes people are looking at, this is a high output, hot double rail humbucker or whatever. That must be good because it's got this high output. It's going to be brilliant. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's right for them. I'm not really answering that question because I'm not really certain.
No, I mean, you're getting there for sure. But I think you hit another component. Like the huge variable here is the amp as well. Because the pickup is either going to be like pushing the amp if it's high output, or it's not going to be pushing the amp, right? And that's a big factor, because you can't just get a set of Doom pickups and expect yourself to sound like some kind of like Doom band already. You need to have, a bunch of really fat fuzz pedals in front of your amp. You need to have like a very loud amp. I mean, there's a whole chain involved, and it's not just the pickups.
Yeah. I mean, before we go down that rabbit hole, which I know, Mark, as someone in the chat said, you're probably very knowledgeable on, I would say I always just felt like if you've got a strong, clear output for the guitar, then you've got the possibilities to do everything you need outboard with your effects units, with your modelers, with your amps. So maybe the pickups isn't so important as long as it's clear, but I'm beginning to come around when I hear pickup builders talk about it, and maybe you can help explain this. When I hear pickup builders say this is made for Doom, or as Jack from Alchemy was doing, this is the sort of thing that fits with what this guy's asking for, then there must be reasons for that do have an effect.
I just want to say one thing, because I was watching one of these Rick Beato interviews with David Gilmour yesterday, and he was talking about the On the Wall, a Brick in the Wall concert series that he did, where he used a Les Paul, and usually David Gilmour uses a Strat, and he was saying that as far as he's concerned, the Strat with the single pickup, with the single coil pickups, gives him that delicate tone that he likes. And the Les Paul gave him the crunch that he wanted for the particular stuff he was doing at the Wall. Now, in his Les Paul, he had P90s. And Rick Beato pointed out to him that they are actually single coil. When I think David Gilmour probably thought they were humbuckers because they had more drive. So it just makes you wonder, do we, and I mean, he's an experienced bloke with a lot of guitars. So, yeah, because I'm very much, my thing is it a single coil or a humbucker? That's what I've been up to now. I mean, I have got some Tone Rider pickups, which are very different to the other, their humbuckers, and they're very different to other humbuckers I've got. But I'm a bit ignorant on this. So, Mark, if you've got any insights you can share on pickups and
I don't have any insight. I have a little bit of experience. I think that's really necessary. And because I'm a guitar player, and what I have learned just from my own personal taste is that I like underwound pickups. Like, I like that sound. I like the sound of low output and medium output pickups. I prefer that. That's just basically what I've learned through my experience. And
why is that? What is it about that underwound that makes it something you like more?
I feel like you can hear, I feel like with high output pickups, you don't have to do much, right? You can do a delicate touch and you're going to get this really big sound. I feel like with low output pickups, you have to work for the note. You have to like pluck the string. You have to really, accentuate that string. You have to bend. You have to hold down the string. I feel like you're fighting for the tone as opposed to it just ringing out for you with the slight touch. And because you have to work for it, I think that you're using your hands more. And I feel like the sound is just, for me, again, this is all subjective, right? It just works out better for me. I feel like I get more tone or more individuality, more personality from them, and less personality with high output. That's just my thoughts.
I was going to say, is that it sounds like you're getting more expression by the fact that you've got more control over it. If you're rammed up at the top end, you can't go any further. Yeah, okay, I understand.
I love that word. Control is the word I was looking for, Dave. Like, yes, I feel like you can be subtle, or you can hit it hard and you can get something out of it, and everything in between. And for me, that's just what I found. And now I'm using like Alnico 2s almost exclusively, and those are also like really low output. And I'm loving that too. So like for me, that's my world I'm in right now, like low output pickups.
Neil's just mentioned Satriani playing the same tune on different guitars, it's sounding the same. I think when you get to a certain level of playing, it's like using different tools. If you can get that subtlety that you're talking about, Mark, out of a certain pickup, but a high output pickup is harder to get from, a really great guitarist like Joe Satriani can probably get it out of that one because he'll just adjust the subtleties of how he's playing, presumably.
Well, you can take that logic and apply it everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. This means that you don't need to worry about pickups or your signal chain or your amp settings. I mean, ideally, you could just
on the assumption that you're a great player, but maybe if you're not, then having that high output helps hide things. Like I don't remember the exact experiment that I saw in Spectre Sound Studios, but he basically took the kind of high gain, very heavy metal guitar sound via his outboard stuff, which may have been a processor, it may have been pedals, I can't remember. And he plugged in different guitars with different pickups in. And without the sort of effects on, you could hear a difference in the pickups. But as soon as you put the effects on, they all sounded the same.
Yeah.
And I have that even on my little amp that I have down here. When I'm testing out my guitars, if I put the high gain setting on and I'm switching between the 5-way position on a Strat, for example, it basically all sounds the same on that little amp. But when I turn the high gain off, you can hear the differences of the sounds.
Probably, I mean, because once you overdrive it, you're adding so many other harmonics in, aren't you? You're pushing the wave right up to the top, and you're adding loads of harmonics in there, which is going to disguise anything, I would suspect. But yeah, no, it's interesting. So this rabbit hole that you went down, Mark, was it that you were trying to find the perfect sound? And
I was wondering why I liked the pickups. So the backstory is I got a Les Paul. It has these Tim Shaw pickups in there. Tim Shaw was the engineer for Gibson when they moved to Nashville. He was in charge of recreating the classic 59 PAFs, right? So his job they gave him was like reverse engineer these and try to get it right. I have a set of these pickups, right, from '83. And I love these pickups. I'm asking myself, why do I love these pickups? What is it about them that's unique? What is it about the holy grail of pickups is this 57 to 62 Gibson PAF? That's the holy grail, right? Where everybody is shooting for those pickups and trying to recreate them. But why are they so good, right? And why do I like that sound? So the rabbit hole I went down was like, well, how are they made? What was going on? What was the process, right? What were the tools? And by the time that Gibson had moved to Nashville, they had lost all the tooling. They didn't have the machines, right? They didn't have the machines. They didn't make the same kind of wire anymore. So this guy, Tim Shaw, the engineer, was like, he had to recreate it with what they had in Nashville. But anyway, getting back to Kalamazoo, where the original pickups were made, here's the other thing that kind of threw me off. They were using these coil winders, vintage textile coil winders, and they're called the Lasona 112. Gibson bought 4 of them. These are machines. So the holy grail of pickups, the 59 PAF, they were machine wound. So everybody goes on and on and on about hand wound this, hand wound that. The greatest holy grail pickup on earth was machine wound on these vintage machines. So I went down the rabbit hole of these Lasona 112 machines, right? And apparently, now there's people who bought them. Like people actually own the ones that Gibson actually had, and they're making pickups. And these machines were so quirky. So they were coil winders, and they were basically manned by unskilled labor, right? So people who were running these machines didn't know what the heck they were doing because these were textile machines, right? In a guitar factory. And there was no presets. So Gibson made 4 model of pickups on the same machines, and they had to reset the gearing for each pickup, right? And every time they went back to making a PAF, they were ballparking it. So there was no there was nothing written down. It was the same gear system, the same layer per rotation. It was like the traverse rate was different, right? And the tolerances were terrible. They were great at 3 inches, But once you start getting into bobbin size, which is like 1/4 of an inch, your tolerances are way off. So no pickup ever sounded the same. So this holy grail concept is based on unskilled labor, high tolerances, and machines that were so quirky, and yet these are the best sounding pickups everybody agrees on, right? That's the rabbit hole I went down. It's like, why do I like these so much? Maybe I like them because there was so much serendipity and so much like chaos and so much just pure luck, right? That's all built into these pickups.
So I wonder if it's just the good guitars from that period with the good pickups of the ones that have lasted through.
Here's the other thing, the rabbit hole. Gibson was known for buying the deals in magnets, the worst magnets, the B stock. They were known for buying like the B stock stuff. Like, hey, what's the cheapest stuff you got? Oh, those magnets, we'll take them. So like even the parts themselves were like, they weren't the best quality anything. They were just what they had at the time, and everybody was trying to make money. I mean, Leo Fender did the same thing. What's the cheapest thing I can source to make the most amount of things? That was the strategy.
Gosh, yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. It's funny. I'm like, so Dave, have you got or either of you, have you got a particular set that if you were just making a guitar, like if I'm not making it for a client, I'm just making a set, have you got particular pickups that you would always buy?
I'll be honest with you, I've gone for the cheapest. I mean, mine are probably just the Chinese ones in most of my guitars, to be honest with you. And I'm sort of happy with it, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, I mean, there is a subtle difference between all of the guitars, and the most difference is between, as I said, single coils and the double coils. It's just, yeah, I'll be honest, yeah, the sort of stuff I do, I can see where Mark's coming from though, because the pickups with high output that I've got on the SC guitar I've got over there, the PRS, I have trouble sometimes because it is a bit distorted when I'm recording. Even if I've turned everything down, I feel it does distort a bit too quick, and so I do like a little bit more control, like Mark said. But yeah,
I mean, I don't really build the same guitar more than once, so it's not necessarily that I'll use the same pickups in it. But as you mentioned, Tone Rider, I did put some Tone Riders in a Strat that I built, and I really like that sound. So I've got another Strat half built, and I've got a totally different set of Tone Riders in it. I didn't think, oh, I like those ones, I'll get exactly the same ones. I want to try something different out from them. But it was in my back of my mind, these worked last time. I liked the sound of it. Couldn't tell you why I liked the sound of it. They just seemed really even. I guess when you're buying from a company that are designing 3 pickups to go together, they're going to think about how it all balances together. But when I buy some of the cheaper ones, I'm not 100% certain of their origin or how they're made. But as I've always said, I don't anymore. I used to have loads of just cheap pickups I ripped out of cheap guitars I bought, and every now and then I'd test them, and some of them worked really well. They were just that serendipity of whoever made them in the factory they were made in did something great, and some of them weren't very good. So I've used up all the good ones now, and all the bad ones have gone. But
yeah,
you know, I'm super picky with my own personal gear when it comes to pickups and stuff. But when I'm building, I never think about sound or tone. It's all aesthetics.
Yeah.
So like, for example, one of the last builds I did, it was like, I saw a pickup that had a black chrome cover. I'm like, I don't care what that sounds like. It's got a black chrome cover. I'm putting that on my guitar. So on my builds, it's all about looks. Like, what is it that's going to like streamline the lines and what's going to like reflect the light? That's how I build, but I'm never thinking about sound because I'm not building for a client.
Yeah. I guess that's the point, because a lot of my guitars are about how they look. So the ones I made, those Ghostbuster Proton Pack ones, I bought pickups that look really cool. That's why I bought them. I bought a set of humbuckers with really big pole pieces. They look a bit ridiculous. They look cool. That's in the bridge, and then in the neck, it's got a humbucker where one humbucker just looks normal and the other one's a double rail one. So it's going to be ridiculous It's ridiculous high output, both of them, but it looks awesome. So
Yeah.
that's what counts.
Yeah.
But yeah, the swapping it out, I guess there is a thing that you like, if you know what some pickups sound like, that doesn't mean they're going to sound the same in your guitar, does it? As they sound
Well, I mean, the position of
your
the
rig.
pickup as well, isn't it? That's the important thing. I mean, if you're making a guitar yourself and you've got an option to where you position that pickup, that's going to have an impact on the sound anyway. I mean, if you're building a standard from a kit or to a plan, then I presume it's all going to be fairly similar. But the position of the pickup makes such a difference.
So with that in mind, how do you decide where you position them?
Do you know what I have done? I've actually held it over and strummed the strings until I found
Yeah.
it. One of those books that we've got, the guitar building books. I forget who it's from now, but he's got a more detailed explanation of where the harmonics are and where you should put it. And again, but of course that changes when you shorten the string length. Anyway, I've never quite understood this, but the frequencies must change as you shorten the length of the string when you fret it. So
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Is the neck pickup on a Strat normally where the 24th fret would be, the double octave?
I don't know, but it's pretty near that, isn't it? On a Strat, I'll grab my Strat.
I'd always heard that, but I never like measured to test.
I think I heard Paul Reed Smith say something like that. So
really, I'm sure it's not an old wives' tale. Like,
there it is. So
nope,
if you can
that's not 24.
But then also, what about the height?
Years back,
because when I set my pickups up, I do the same thing all the time. Let's say I've got two humbuckers. I will start with one of them and I'll play the top E and the low E, and I'll try and balance out so they both sound similar output by lowering or raising one end or the other. And then I flip to the other humbucker and do the same. And then I flip between the two and raise them both to get them about equal. And then I do that again. But of course, that's just totally random because it depends what the setup is, because there's the subtle differences of how loud the high E and how loud the low E are through one amp is going to be totally different if I'm then through a massive cab on stage, for example. I think that would amplify the differences in it all. But as long as I feel it's more or less fine on my two amps that I try it on here, I feel that's okay. But I have some people tell me that that's wrong because each pickup has its own perfect place to get the perfect sound. So you need to play them a bit and move the height of the pickup just right to get that perfect sound for it.
It's interesting.
Is that also subjective though, as well?
Everything must be
well, pickup height is a real variable. So like in those original like Jim Lill videos where he's debating Tonewood, he says pickup height is the one thing that does 100% impact the tone, like how low or how high your pickup is. That is 100% going to impact your tone. But then again, that's also just subjective. Like, you could wherever you put it, it just depends on what your ear is like, right? There's no rule, right?
I think so. Although Gio's just said he's done lots of experimental pickup position. It's one of the most useful things he's ever done. I guess that's someone that designs guitars for what they sound like.
Well done. Yes.
Helpful there. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I do as well is when I'm just laying things out, I just use a template that I've got for this is what a Strat looks like. And that's the start of my start positioning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is it? Yeah, absolutely. 42. Okay.
Yeah, like there's a few. I can't think of the name of the company that does it at the moment. It's the company that make the metal guitars, and the pickup's magnetic, so you can move the position of it. But you get those guitars. There's basses in particular that have sliding pickups, so you can get that tone just right.
Yeah. I tried that, but I mean, the trouble was I did a hidden pickup inside the guitar, and the problem with that is it was too far away from the strings to actually register a difference. I mean, it was presumably picking up the sound from a wider area of the string. I suppose actually that's what affects the tone if you lower a pickup down. It's effectively, you know, sort of it's picking up a wider area than if you ride up close to the string. I don't know.
So then the best height would be if you knew where the magnetic flux was and where it terminated, you could theoretically position it right where that magnetic flux is, right? Like if you could
Right.
visualize the magnetic field in three
I know what you
dimensions.
mean. Yeah.
I can't remember which guitar I was working on. It might have been one of the ones that high output that I have here. It might have been one that came through. But I really noticed the difference in the pickups on how strong and powerful the magnets were. So obviously, if you're getting your pickup too close to the strings, those magnets are having an effect on how the string plays. I don't buy into this idea that it affects how the string vibrates, because I can't believe any of the pickups are that powerful that when I'm playing and strumming the strings, that the power of the magnet's going to stop the sustain of that string too much.
Yeah, it's the sustain, if anything, isn't it? But that's an interesting one, isn't it? Yeah.
But just quickly back to the beginning of all this, Dave mentioned Jerry Hayes. If you go to Hayes Guitars, I think it's just I've got it here, hayesguitars.com. Hayes is in Haze. It's got his website with loads of his stuff on, but you can sign up for his newsletter. And I highly recommend it. Although as I've just discovered with Dave, I get a weekly email, so does Dave, and we seem to get different ones. I'm not sure what's happening there. But
what's the guy's name again? What's the name?
Jerry Hayes.
Jerry Hayes, yeah.
Jerry Hayes. And who is he exactly? What's
He's
his...
the guy that wrote this book.
Oh, wow.
The wiring book.
The massive wiring book.
Nice.
But he also has, oh, sorry, I'm back to front here. He also has on his website, you can download some of his other books as PDFs or whatever, or ebooks. But he's clearly got a lot of experience, and the series of emails that I'm in the middle of, that he started maybe 2 months ago, are all about tuning stability. So he's been talking about nut height. He's been talking about different types of tuners and if they make a difference, and how tuners are staggered. And then each week he goes off on a slight tangent for each of those things. At the moment, he's talking about bridges and tremolo bridges and how they affect it. But it's very interesting because a lot of it relates to the practicalities of making changes to a guitar, or fixing a guitar, or setting one up.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I'm going to look into that. Sounds interesting.
Yeah. You mentioned a pick, Mark. Is that?
Yeah. I bought one of those blue chip picks. So like a couple of months ago, the Wall Street Journal did a video on the blue chip company that makes this $35 pick. And it's a $35 pick that is played by celebrities like John Mayer, and Billy Strings, and even like Steve Martin. And I just kind of wanted to see what all the fuss was about, right? So I bought one of these blue chip picks just to review and see what was going on. And I know it's made out of an aerospace material that is basically meant to be for like jet engines and stuff like that, right? And it's kind of we know what it's called, we know what it is, but they have a patent on it. So they're the only company that can actually use this material to build picks with. And the amount of effort they have to do, because it's machined, like these are not like injection molded like every other pick in the world, right? They're machined with a solid billet of this material. And the material itself, I believe it's like the Wall Street Journal said, a 10-inch by 5-inch piece of material. It's like $5,000. So literally a billet like this big is $5,000. And they have to machine it. So the amount of machining that goes into it to build a pick is incredible. But then they have to temper the material in order to make it a little bit more flexible. And then they do a machine polish. And that's where the real magic is. They use machines, not hand polish like a lot of boutique pick builders. they use machines to put the actual polish on there. It's like a mirror polish. And that is where the magic is, because you have this glide to this pick that I can't find in any other pick. And I've been a Jazz 3 user my whole life, and I'm now using the these guys by Dunlop. I don't know what they're called, Tone something. But anyway, here's the blue chip pick. It's basically based off of a Jazz 3, and it's made of this material called Vespel, 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 and it's an aerospace material. And again, it's nuts, the amount of effort that they put into building these picks. But they're $35 each, and so it's got this high like entry point to kind of even figure out and see if you like them or not. I don't think I'm going to use them.
What's it actually feel like? Is it plastic or metal, or does it?
Yeah, I was going to say.
It is a polyamide, so it is like any other kind of like plastic, but it doesn't feel like plastic to me. In fact, when you touch it, it's got this weird grippy feel, even though there's no like texture on the surface, and it feels quality. So my review that I'll be publishing the video this Friday. My kind of whole idea was, when does the pick stop becoming a disposable accessory and truly becomes a precision instrument or a precision tool or a companion for your guitar? And when that happens is when you buy this. Like, I think the days are gone where we just buy disposable picks that we throw away eventually. I think these are the days we live in now, right? Where this is a precision tool that we keep forever.
Right.
Yeah, or lose very quickly in the back.
Lose forever.
I do see a lot of companies that make picks now that sell them in like beautiful packaging. So you're buying a thing that's not just a pick. You're buying the whole experience of opening the box of the picking. But yeah, I have heard guitarists say that, of course, tones in the fingers, the way you play and stuff, and you're hitting them with something and it makes a difference. And I know that I've got a particular type of pick that I prefer, and it's just because it's more comfortable for me to hold, and I just don't like using the other shapes or thicknesses.
And and that's a hard pick, isn't it? But so I mean, I have my little pack here of Dunlop ones, from the soft one, which is about 46 mil, I think, to the 75, 73.73 mil. And I like that range, so that if I'm playing, say, an acoustic, I'll have the soft one if I'm strumming. But if I'm picking out a tune, then it'll be the hard one.
That's a front. I've used, I can't remember how long I've used this for, 1.5mm gaiters from Dunlop.
That's pretty thick.
So that's quite thick as well.
Yeah, but it's also partly because I used them on guitar. I think I started using these on guitar before I started playing bass, but I use them when I play bass as well. Although, to be fair, these days I don't really use a pick on the bass or the guitar. I use my fingers most of the time.
Yeah.
But that's because I don't play a lot. That's probably why. If I played a lot, my fingernails would wear off. Right,
well, this is my main pick that I use today. They're called Prime Tones by Dunlop at 1.4 mil, but they have the textured surface, so if you can see that.
Yeah,
very textured. And this is made out of Ultem. Now, Ultem is another very expensive material. I bought a piece of Ultem about this long. Try and get in the camera here, and it was $60 for a billet of Ultem, because I wanted to make my own Ultem picks. It's crazy expensive. So for me, it's like the material does matter, right? This is Ultem. I love it. They're Prime Tones, but this Vespel stuff is like space age stuff. I mean, I don't know what they're doing with that.
So why won't you use them?
Which one, Daniel?
I thought you said you're not going to use them.
Yeah. So I was mentioning that these are machine polished, right? So they have like a mirror polished finish by machines, not by hand, and they glide way too easy. So that glide is reducing the highs in your attack. So when you attack the string, you get that natural like friction where the pick rubs against the string, and you get a lot of high frequencies. The high frequencies are pretty much gone because the glide is way too polished. So it glides up the string, and it's almost like you've attenuated all the high frequencies.
Oh, interesting. So certain players, perhaps sort of jazz or something like that, who want a softer sound. Right.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, or players that want to say, I play with the most expensive pick you can buy. Have any
Yeah.
pick ones that like wedges? I can't remember which company makes them. They look really cool. They look really. I can't see how you can play with them, but they're meant to be.
I have one.
And can you play with it?
Yes, surprisingly, you can. Because it's kind of like when people say they like fat guitar necks because they get cramped when they play in a thin neck. It's the same thing. Like when you think about how you hold the pick, if you have a thick pick that's like this, that's your natural state. Your natural state of your hand is like this.
Yeah.
So imagine you had a pick that thick. It's very, very comfortable. Yes.
Right. Okay. So somebody needs to design a pick that's thick at the back and at the front. There you go. Challenge. Yeah. Probably print one. Daniel.
One. Oh, so on a tangent then. I've got a show and tell.
Go on.
Let me just do this. I think I've shown these before, but this is basically this is a bit of a strap pick guard, and I've chopped it up just so you've got the pot places and the switch bit, and then I built this little wooden structure around it. So what I can do is put my pots on ready for wiring. So it's a wiring harness, and I've got an extra wide pot so it doesn't fit on this one. And then the pots will go through on this side, and it would just stand up because it's got the sort of leg around the side around it that raises it up. That's not as deep as the pot shaft, and it holds it all in place. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And I made a load of these out of just spare pick guards that I had for different guitars, and they're really useful for wiring. So I just thought I'd show that. And the reason I thought I'd show that is Mark mentioned wiring harnesses earlier on in a chat we're having, and about possibly 3D printing them. I tried 3D printing them, had the pot in it, and put my soldering iron on to let the back of the pot heat up before I put a wire on it. And the pot just slowly went like this as the plastic heated up as well and melted, which doesn't happen with the plastic that the pickguard material is made from.
And what is that plastic that pickguard material is made from?
I don't know. Is it ABS? I can't remember.
Okay, but so you could technically,
ABS.
so you could still sell that product as long as you print an ABS.
Yeah,
right.
Yep, this isn't ABS. I forgot what the pickguard's made from. It's some form of acrylic.
It's acrylic. Is it? Yeah, I think they are, aren't they? Can you get acrylic for 3D printers? He asks.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can. I just
It's not.
I'm very aware of if you're giving someone a product, it has to be functional, and having a product that involves lots of instructions of how to use it when it should be something as obvious as this, I think becomes a bit of a failed product. So like I mentioned, I think before, I got these really cool tuning pegs. They weren't cheap, that are like the Firebird ones that go through the headstock and are parallel, and they're really complicated to use, and I don't want to put them on a guitar I'm going to sell because I feel there's a lot of trial and error to learn how to use them. I broke quite a few strings trying to work out how to use them, and if you're selling a guitar where you have instructions, an instruction book or a video on how to put strings on and tune it up, that's just a little bit too much.
Defeats the object a bit.
I mean, that happens with loads of bridges, like the Steinberger bridge. If you're not used that before, it's a bit different. You need if you haven't sat up a Floyd before, it's a bit harder. But they're things I think you expect when you're buying those. You don't expect to need to learn how to use tuning pegs. And I don't really want to sell a product where it's got lots of caveats of here's a product you can print yourself, but you've got to make sure it's in this and in that, and you're not using things over a certain temperature or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. So actually, on the Lufia groups this week, I on Facebook. So I've been on Facebook a lot for a change, and on a lot of the Lufia groups, there's been discussion about cavity shielding, but also a bit about 3D printing and people worrying about the things that you can buy that 3D printed, whether they're really robust enough, and like if you're using something and you're sanding a lot, is it going to heat up and damage the plastic? But the best one has definitely been just doing the rounds. Lots of people showing how shielding your guitar is pointless. And my favorite one of these was on one of the Luthier groups, someone proving it scientifically using ChatGPT. And the comments were just ridiculous, having a go at this guy. But Barnaby Ralph was in one of them. And Barnaby's been on before. He's the guy who, I think, if I get this right, he was from the UK, lived in Australia, and now lives in Japan, has done for a long time. And he's a guitar builder and repairer. And people were trying to say, oh, shielding means nothing. And he said, as someone that's repaired lots of guitars before and put shielding in, and it's made a difference, there must be something that's happening. I mean, he was much more sarcastic about this than me. But it's basically saying, I've done it lots and it makes a difference. So surely that's proof enough. But yeah, people, it's like Tonewood. People just go bang on about it forever, I think.
Yeah. But now I guess the question is the different methods of shielding. And I have my doubts about shielding paint for sure.
So do
I. The copper tape. I really like the copper tape stuff. It's really messy. It's hard to use. But if you take your multimeter and you like measure from one point of the tape to the other, you can certainly get some readings. But if you did that to shielding paint, like it's almost non-existent. Like I don't know if there's
using rubbish shielding paint.
No, I agree. I must be. How many? Let me ask you this: how many layers of shielding paint do you usually put on your cavities?
The one that I use, the Night Black one, says you should put 2 on, but I've found one's more than enough.
I've only ever done one.
You can power like an LED. Just put the LED in the battery or either.
No, for sure. Now, depending on how close you are, but try powering that LED at a distance.
No, but it seems fine when I do it. But maybe I'd put it on too thick. I don't know.
Right. Well, it works for you, obviously. That's the thing.
Yeah. But then it's a bit random. So I had a guitar in. It was a bass the other day and needed a bit of work on it, and there was a light buzz, and we couldn't quite work out what was going on. So what I did was I just took an extra wire from the sort of loop, the ground loop, and screwed it into the cavity to make sure there was a proper connection there, and it went. So it was totally fine. But maybe if it had better shielding, because there was shielding on the inside and it was lapped over, so it would touch the back of the scratch plate, which is touching the pots. So it should have all been in a circuit, but clearly that just wasn't strong enough. So having that extra wire into the cavity seemed to make a difference. But I didn't know it was going to. I just put it in to see. It doesn't always make a difference. It seems to be quite random on each guitar.
Yeah.
I see that Todd makes his own. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
16 ounces of graphite in a pint of automotive base coat binder, and he uses 3 coats. Maybe I'm being cheap, just doing 1 coat. But then it doesn't matter. I do 1 coat and I try it, and you don't get the hum. It's fine. It doesn't need the extra ones. I mean, maybe like people said, maybe it wouldn't have had a hum if it didn't have any shielding either. But
no. I mean, I just use shielded wires. I haven't put shielding in my most recent guitars at all, and it doesn't seem to make any difference.
I want to start using shielded wire moving forward. Like I want to use the actual braided metal shielded wire. I want to start using that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. With that, I found it a real pain when I first used it. Yeah, it's just awkward cutting it and setting it all up.
Yeah, you've got to peel it back a bit. Yeah. But no,
but that's just my laziness, maybe, or my perseverance. With all of these things, if I just used it a lot more, I'd get better at it, and it would be fine. But I'm quite happy with what I do. It works well, so I'm going to stick with that for a while. It's sort of back to what we were saying before about how does a guitarist know what they want with their sound? And it occurred to me that quite often when I'm talking to someone about their guitar and what I'm going to do to it, I say, are you happy with your setup? Because if you're happy with your setup, I'm not going to make any changes to how it plays. And sometimes I say, yeah, I'm happy with it. And I look at it and the action's like an inch. Well, it's not, it's
I know what you mean.
Are you happy with it? But I really think you might be a bit happier if I do make a change. And it's because they're not used to having a guitar set up like that, because not everyone has had lots of guitars. Not everyone has had a great setup on the guitar. You're just used to what you've got and played.
Yeah.
And I'm used to using the silicon wire, which I now use thanks to Mark.
That's good. Well, one more thing before we go. I discovered something today. I've just got to go and get a guitar. Hold on.
While he's getting that, I'll just say Mark suggested silicon wire in a video of his ages ago, and the reason it's good is the silicon on the outside doesn't burn. Like plastic wire does. So my guitars just look so much neater because I'm getting better. I mean, soldering's fine, but if I make a mistake, I don't burn anything now.
I'm gonna you're probably not gonna hear this, right? So this is acoustic guitar.
Oh,
right?
amazing!
Lovely.
And
Really
I was playing it. I was playing it the other day, and you probably won't hear this, but if I play the G string, and I actually get a tone from the back coming through, and I'd never noticed it. It's probably because I've just got hearing aids. But it only happens on that string, and I suspect it's because the higher strings are just too high, and I don't pick it up, and the lower strings are just are hidden by the sound of the thing. But as I say, you probably won't hear it. But it's something I just didn't realise. And I don't know if anybody else has come across this, where you've got a bridge which is separate from the tail stop there. I'd be interested to know. And if anybody's got any ideas how you stop it, I'm going to have to somehow, I think, deaden the sound that it comes from this bit, because it is quite noticeable.
And it's the sympathetic ringing is only happening on the G string. Just the G.
Only on, I think it is. I can't hear it on any of the others. So yeah.
I
It's
can't
really
remember.
weird.
Maybe Mark will know. I saw a bridge the other day on a guitar where it had a setup so that the strings mounted just like Dave's does,
Yeah.
but that you could move the very back bit where the sort of stop bit is, so you could tune each string's length after it left the bridge. So
Oh, okay. So yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you.
then there must have been a way on that to mute that bit from tuning.
Yeah. It's
Or
interesting.
unless it was just there and you just play it separately. That might be what it was.
It's
You play that
it's really subtle. I'll be honest with you. And this is a brass saddle. This is, and it has got a little indent in it, so the string is sort of locked in there. So I didn't think that it would. Interesting what Todd's just said, and that's probably a really good.
Neil said the same.
Yeah, put a weaver cloth through. That would make the set make sense. But yeah, it's one of those things you don't think of these. First time I'd heard that.
That was really cool, Dave. That's really cool. Unfortunately, on our screen, you can't get the perfect colours through. On
Oh no,
this.
it's what they use. Yeah, the blue.
Yeah.
It's a bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, look, we've been a bit longer than normal, so we should head off. But
yeah.
We'll be back next week. And I saw a guitar just before we came on air on Every Guitar Tells a Stories YouTube channel. And that's going to be the one we look at next week, or I talk about next week. It was designed by a luthier in the 90s who was I think an airplane engineer or something to do with engineering for planes in some ways. So it's got metal poles in it. It's got bits that move around on it. The bodies tilt and twist in different ways. I cannot remember the name of the luthier. As far as I know, it was the only one he's built like that. It seems to be a one-off weird thing. But Every Guitar Tells a Story on YouTube's got that on, and I will share it with us next week. So
Awesome.
if anyone's got any weird guitars that they also want to share, please send me a message or leave it in the chat. It'd be great to have a bunch of weird guitars up on screen to talk about.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Cool. Right.
Nice to have a chat. Anyway, take
Thanks,
care.
Dave. Thanks, everyone in the chat.
Bye.
Bye.